My name is Ray Park. You might know me as Darth Maul, and you're listening to the Regular Joe's podcast. Better check it out, or the dark side is going to come after you.
Hi, I'm Tim Rose. I played Admiral Akbar in Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, and finally and sadly, The Last Jedi.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is Daniel Logan. I play the young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones and also the Clone Wars.
I'm Nick Maley. They call me the Yoda guy because of my contribution to the making of Yoda.
Hi there, I'm Mike Quinn, and you'll know me as Nine Numb from the Star Wars films, and you're listening to the Regular Joe's podcast.
To movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
And I'm Brian Mix.
Hey, Brian's here joining us. Yay.
Hey, Brian.
Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to talk to you, even though you're in beautiful weather and we're in an ice storm.
Yes.
So
we haven't seen you since we were all together in Rhode Island.
And it was cold there, too.
Yeah.
It was cold there, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Dash from the convention center to my hotel and back again.
Yeah. So as we record this, I know we're counting down really, I guess almost exactly 2 days until we all see Rise of Skywalker.
I will be in the last. Oh God, it will just be wrapping. I'll be looking at end credits right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
just about.
Same here.
Me too.
I will be looking at I'll be almost waiting for the opening credits. I'll be in the crowd waiting desperatally for you. So you guys are going to see it just ahead of me.
And we'll be texting you.
Yeah.
That's how it went.
I'm going to turn my phone off. Okay, interesting. Brian, where are you seeing it? Is there like in Anaheim or in where you live, which is not far?
Oh yeah, there's a large metroplex just down the road from my house.
Okay.
They're unfortunately they're in the midst of reconditioning the theater, so the lobby's destroyed, but the theaters are still working.
Okay. You ever get to like the arc lights or any of that stuff? That's more
all
in
the
LA.
time. Yeah. In fact, I'm flying on Sunday to Florida to visit my mother for Christmas, or we'd be going to see it at the Dome because it's showing at the Dome on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. So yeah, I'm seeing it at the Alamo, and Todd, you're seeing it at the local drive-in theater.
No. Multiplex thing not far from here. That's actually, we got the nice theater with the stadium seats and stuff, so it's good.
Cool.
Yep, and I'm seeing it at the X Plus in my multiplex, my theater of choice. Love that place.
Cool. Excellent. So we'll record about that after we see it. We got to figure all that because there is these pesky holidays in the way of all this stuff.
Yes.
But we'll figure that out. But today we're going to talk Star Wars things. Brian's got some very interesting Star Wars stories that are a little different than even our Star Wars stories. So we'll get into that.
We started to get some of these stories when we were together in Rhode Island, and we were like, stop, we need to put this on the podcast at some point.
Yeah, because there's some good stuff there. So
Brian has been a witness to history. So
yes, he sure has.
Yeah. But let's go some random, not necessarily Star Wars random. And you know, we're all sort of, we're all on like serious blackout lockdown because the movie premiered last night, Monday in LA. There's definitely, someone we know, like on Facebook, Star Wars spoilers below. Like, I don't even want, why are you even typing that? Why are you even putting that out there in the world? Just don't put spoilers anywhere. Give it a week or two. You shouldn't even be writing that stuff. I don't get it. So
no, I mean, it's one thing to do it the day after it's available to the whole world, and I think that's even wrong. But give people a couple days to see it, but the movie's not even out where anybody can see it yet. I mean,
And this is literally people finding spoilers from different places, and just don't. Thank you. That's a public service announcement. So anyway, let's go some random. I don't know what it's about. That's because it's random. Todd, what do you got?
Before we have seen the first actual minute of it, they have given Picard a second season.
That is exactly what I was going to say. That's
I
the only
figured
safe
you were.
story.
That's why I jumped on that baby. But
This is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy, but also really cool. I actually thought it was going to be a one season thing.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not
but,
crazy when it's on a non-commercially supported network. They don't need to wait and see if the ratings
You're right. You're right.
I just hope they knew it or were ready for it and not the classic, oh, we finished one season. Oh, no, we have a second season. What are we going to do? You think they're ready?
I suspect it's more a matter of they were, as they were closing in, finishing up the first season, they just said, let's just keep this ball rolling. It's
and it probably won't be for a very long time. It's at least 6 months, if not a full year. But I do think, and Barry's got this thought in his head about stuff. It's like, I don't want to watch something if, it's going to end quick, quickly. You do that with shows. Like if it's going to be 10 episodes and it's never coming back, is it worth watching? But I also think,
to me, it's more about, is it going to be planned as 20 episodes and then they're going to get 10 in and then
right.
I invested 10 hours and they cancel it.
I don't mind watching 10 of something and knowing that's all there is any more than I mind watching a movie that I know is a self-contained story. But it's like if there's expectations of much more than that, and that's where it's hard.
Yeah,
I gotta say, I just
burned too many times on some of these shows that you get invested in and they just disappear.
This weekend I finished watching DC Universe Swamp Thing series, which was going to be 13 episodes. Then they pulled the plug on it, and then they made it 10 episodes, and put it out there. And they announced basically after episode 2 they had canceled it, and they weren't making any more of it. And I got to say, they did the best job in that last 2 episodes. Like they were laying like all these things out there to run plots for like the next couple of years. They were killing characters right and left. They left nothing on the board. And it was almost like, it was like nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Let's just wrap this up. And they did. It was, I give them a lot of credit for doing that, because what I expected was to get like just a cliff and fall off the cliff at the end of it. But
I wonder if there was a lot of hype about Picard. I even like people who don't seem like hardcore Star Trek fans I talk to are like super excited about it. And I do think you announce the second season, that's people going to be more inclined to buy the service than be like, okay, it's only going to be 10 episodes. I'll catch it whenever, or I'll do a binge, or, maybe it's just a tactic to sort of get people to, because that's what it's all about.
Well, and I think on something like that too, Patrick Stewart, if he's willing to do it now, get him while he's willing and able to do it, because he's not a young guy.
Right, keep him filming. And the other thing is I think it's also just kind of shows a confidence in it at a point, and it's probably good to have people talking about it even right now with all the competing stuff. That's airing. So.
Well, I don't know. You guys watch any terrestrial television, but CBS. Every promotion for their show, at the end of the show, their logo collapses into a Star Trek show.
Yep.
I've seen it.
Every single show. It's
really, which is really cool. I'm glad they're doing that. Because they got to get the word out. Brian, do you have random for us?
I do have a random. There's a company. Let me see. What's the name of this company that has come out with a Star Trek bridge game for the Oculus? So the Oculus is the 3D glasses, and
we talked about them a couple of weeks ago.
They're really amazing glasses. There's Disneyland here has a interactive ride that you can go on, it was Marvel characters when I was there, but they also do a Star Wars one, and you actually walk around through the place and around doors, and it's very immersive. And they have a Star Trek one, and the best part is they did what do you call it? They did the split off the alternate universe of the current universe. But they also are including as an add-on pack the original series bridge.
Oh, nice! That's what I was going to ask. Which bridge are you looking at? So
that's great. You were looking at the the most recent JJ Universe bridge, but they're doing an add-on. They're doing an add-on pack for the original series bridge, and they're doing an add-on game for Next Gen, the Enterprise D bridge. It's going to follow on.
Is it just sort of a walk around? You can just walk around on it, or I mean, at least on the original series bridge?
I don't know. It's kind of thin on the original series stuff, but the bridge for the JJ verse is actually 4 people. Put your glasses on. You're flying in space. You're running a mission.
See, I would do like the Black Mirror Callister episode. I just go in there and do duty shifts. Okay, I'd just be like one of those people that just shows up and has my uniform on and just goes ahead and does whatever.
I would totally do that.
You got to wonder how much longer before you can run into other starships with 4 people doing the same thing.
Yes.
And a universe starts to build, and maybe there is a ship that's never asleep. There's always someone on board doing every position. Right?
I know we need those glasses. Maybe they'll go on sale after Christmas or something.
Yeah.
Because there's the saber thing and then the shooting game sound pretty cool. And I think there's ones that is it the Rift. Or is the other one? Some are all inclusive. Others you need to connect to a PC. So they're like $400. I mean, it's not
It's almost at the point where you could buy one just to check it out. It's almost there.
Well, now that they've had Star Trek, it may be at that point. So we'll see. Barry, what do you got?
2 quick ones. One, the LA Times is reporting that John Kasdan has completed a pilot script for Disney Plus for a Willow TV series.
Okay.
John Kasdan, son of Lawrence Kasdan. That's all I have on that one.
Who's his mother?
I don't know who his mother is.
So is that
Kathy
Willow
Kennedy,
from Buffy? Is it that's getting her own series or?
I'm thinking the other guy, the other producer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's that. And then the other rumor that was out there this week is that they I forget which news outlet was saying this, but there's a rumor that there is a new Star Wars series filming right now in secret, and it is said to revolve around Dr. Aphra, the
That's
character
what people
from the comic
it
book.
makes sense because they need to get someone. I think they need to get someone LGBTQ out there, and I think and it's an interesting character. She's kind of taken off on her own beyond being like a minion of Darth Vader's. So
it's interesting because they say that it's a co-venture between Lucasfilm and Marvel, and that we will see it in 2020. That this is something they're filming right now.
That would make sense because
something to throw on.
She's a Marvel created character,
right?
In their universe. So
the other TV shows that they've announced aren't filming yet. So
yeah.
I mean, Mandalorian season 2 is, but there's nothing else filming yet. So
yeah,
we shall see.
We shall see. I had the Picard thing, but I did read. I think it was on Instagram. Somebody mentioned the Star Trek set tour doing Next Generation on a news article. I know we had heard that a while ago.
He told us that when we were there.
Yeah, and he said that he'd actually had just signed a lease for the building that they were doing it in.
I couldn't find the article again.
He said it was right. It was the building next door, is what he told us.
I just talked to him 2 weeks ago. It's absolutely true. He has the building next door. He wants to build a Next Gen set there, and we spotted him talking to the guy who owns the shuttlecraft while we were there.
Oh.
The original TOS shuttlecraft, right? That's in Houston, but it's off display now, and they don't know what they're going to do.
It had been on the Intrepid in New York. We actually
we saw it there,
and then it moved to Houston. It was so many Star Trek things got stuck in the cafeteria, and now it's off display. So he's looking for a place to put it, and we saw him talking, but that's all I know. We saw him talking.
Place to put it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I would volunteer.
Land and buildings are cheap up in Ticonderoga.
Yeah, they are.
We should buy a building.
I would volunteer to work on building that thing. I mean, that would be very cool. So
that would be fun. You know who's also cool?
Anybody? I got one more thing if we can slip before we
go.
You ruined my mediocre
I know.
segue.
I jumped on your. It'll be wrong. So this is my other thing. I didn't want to do two things like Barry did, because when I do two things, you always accuse me of taking your thing, even though I did anyways. So, Benioff and Weiss, you remember these guys?
Don't know 'em.
Apparently, they're developing for Warner Brothers, developing a H.P. Lovecraft-based thriller that's supposed to involve like the Cthulhu mythology, and I could not be less excited about that. I love Lovecraft stuff. But now they can screw up something else for me. So they can take that special touch that they applied to the final season of Game of Thrones and ruin one more thing that I'm interested in.
Well, at least they're not going to screw up Star Wars like they were originally.
Well, that's
we have Ryan Johnson for that.
Yeah,
that is one good thing. But
hey,
yeah,
since you brought up one more thing before we go to our spot, I just think it's worth mentioning because Todd and I were texting about this off show.
Yes. Yeah.
We both went into the HBO Watchmen show very hesitant, and even after a couple of episodes, weren't quite there. But Jesus Christ, did they stick that freaking landing? That show turned out to be unbelievable.
I have not seen the last episode, but
okay.
So far along, it has been so compelling. You can't put your finger on why, but it's so
Laurie
compelling.
walks into the bank, they have nailed that show. Before that first episode was flailing. It was like, what's going on?
The first two, I wasn't
sure. But like I said, from the moment they did that Dark Knight riff and she walked into the bank, that show has been just nailing it. And Brian, I envy you not having seen the last episode, because if I could wipe it from my head and go watch it again, I would do that.
I'll have to go do that. I can't watch it tonight. We're watching The Last Jedi tonight.
We watched it last night.
All right. Thanks for being on the show, Brian. We appreciate it. That little bit of time.
And
go waste your
just cut
time
the
doing
beat.
something else.
We've been watching them all. We've been watching them all one a night, all the way up till tomorrow. We're going to Galaxy's Edge to go have a drink. And
okay, so that's good.
See, we live in the wrong place.
To live in
totally do.
I'm drinking from my Galaxy's Edge mug right now.
Oh, I should have got my Galaxy's Edge glass.
So,
forgot about that. That's something you can just go there. It's just around the corner.
It's like his neighborhood bar.
Have you been on? Rise of the
Everybody there knows his name. Okay,
isn't open yet. Is in LA, right? Rise
it is not. No, the new ride opens the third week of January. Although we have friends who work at Disneyland who've been on it. They're testing it with crew, and they say it's 18 minutes of amazing, the best ride of any park anywhere.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
I watched an entire ride through of it on YouTube, and if it's anything.
How would you?
Because I'm not going to be there for like another year or two.
I'm going in April. I'm going.
Based on what I saw, it looks like it'll be amazing. So,
I definitely I'm going to Florida at some point, just even if it's for a long weekend, just to see it.
But you know who else is amazing?
Yes.
But I was going to say something else, and I don't remember what it was now. But you know who else is awesome and all that good stuff?
Lasts more than 18 minutes.
Yeah. Fanboy Collectibles. I think it's probably too late to order for Christmas, but you can give people's New Year's gifts. But they got all kinds of stuff. There's a Hot Toys Black Panther Killmonger. They came out with that.
In stock.
Oh, it's in stock?
Yep.
I didn't realize that's in stock. I think there's another Iron Spider that I think is from one of the video games, I believe.
Yep.
There's a ton of diamond statues that are coming out of all kinds of stuff. There's Pops. I still got to order that. Who did I want? That John Wick?
John Wick and his dog, yeah.
I got to get that one. There's Hot Toys and Sideshow and Pops and everything you need. Check those guys out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them Regular Joe sent you. I was going to say something else, and I don't remember what it was, but that's fine. Let's talk some Mandalorian as we sit here. We just saw... you know what I want to mention before I jump into that? Todd, are you caught up on For All Mankind?
No, I'm still one behind.
Okay, never mind.
I'm 2 behind.
9. A lot going on. That's all I'll say.
Let's Brian, come back and let's talk about it when it's done.
Are you enjoying it, Brian?
Very much.
I really am
too. It's such a sleeper deal, and I'm totally enjoying it.
we may be the target demographic for the show, but I'm eating it up. I'm kind of rationing it the way I'm doing the new season of The Expanse. I only let myself watch one episode at a time, and I'm just kind of going through. And
we're only watching one a week. We don't binge anything. Everything is one a week, like a normal schedule. Because we want to stretch those good shows out.
Yeah.
You mean even The Expanse?
Don't watch The Expanse at all yet.
Oh, okay.
That one we may catch up on, but
the Mankind only comes out once a week.
Right. No, but I had episodes stacked up, and even with them stacked up, I'm not.
I see what you're saying.
I'm not binging them now. So
anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I just watched episode 9, and there's one more. So I'm.
Yeah. We should talk when it's done.
Yes, we will. So what were we talking? Oh, Mandalorian. So it was episode 6. So it was Mr. Crab was in it.
Yeah. There were a lot of people in this episode.
And
a ton of people.
Thankfully, better actors than last week.
Yeah, and I know that bothered you more than it bothered me, but
you're,
Barry, let me ask you this: could this have been a Rebels episode?
Oh yeah, this was an episode of any Western you've ever seen, or
this felt like an episode of Rebels or Clone Wars.
Yeah,
and just the. Let's just do the same hallway again. And now we'll go down the same hallway again.
It was cool to see sort of that pristine, sort of Tantive looking, even though it is, Tantive was a rebel ship, but we haven't really gotten much of that yet. So it was sort of nice to see that sort of other side.
Well, and this is, post fall of the Empire. So this is like the New Republic just starting to build up, and they've got some new stuff for a change instead of it all being like old.
Could also be repurposed Empire stuff for all we know, but
could be.
But still, I thought it was good. I mean, it ticked back up from the previous episode. It was a different thing. Different's good. I was a little disappointed that Yodel wasn't the one off the robot dude, because that would have been kind of cool.
I feel like there's snippets as opposed to like this long through line. I mean. You're just going to drag this kid into incredibly dangerous situations and lock him in a closet. Not lock him. Put him in a closet and just close the door that any dope can hit the button and open. I mean, come on.
Just bring basically a bunch of outlaw bikers on the ship and
don't lock the closet.
Let's face it, though. This guy is trying to do the right thing, but has no idea how to raise anything.
Exactly. And that's the thing.
He doesn't lock his guns. He doesn't lock his guns.
Yeah, doesn't lock
or
his
kid up. That's a bad combination.
Well, is it his kid or is it his pet? In this episode, they refer to it as a pet.
Quote unquote, his kid is a force wielder. There's not a whole lot you can do to lock him up.
Well, then at least lock your guns up.
Yeah,
I mean,
I got to say that I have been enjoying this show, but this is the first episode I think would have benefited from being a little shorter.
I was thinking, it's like I saw this, I was like, 44 minutes. Okay, we're finally getting it.
Oh, I didn't look this time.
It was a good length episode. And I'll be honest with you, I had to restart it because I dozed off for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, the section in the middle with all the his crew who are all the bad guys.
Yes.
And they kept going, these are bad guys. These are bad guys. These are bad guys. He was like, yeah, I got it in the first 30 seconds that none of those people are going to make it back. Can we please get to them not making it back? And that felt like it drug a little bit.
It did feel like a little draggy. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But to your point, last week or whenever it was, Bill Burr is in here. He's a comedian. Like you were saying,
every week it's comedian.
It's a comedian. Like it's an odd thing. I didn't get that.
But at least there's always been that kind of thing, whether you recognize it or not. There's always been that little kind of humorous thing, comic relief, whatever, in Star Wars as we've gone down the line.
They've never cast comedians in the roles before.
Well,
these are stand-up comics. These are not.
This is a Favreau thing. I think Favreau loves these people and he hangs out with these people. So when he gets a chance to put them in his stuff, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, though, the acting was up a notch this time. I mean, Bill Burr didn't.
He was fine. He did a fine job. I thought he was good. Yeah.
And the thing that I liked the most about this episode was it in different ways, whether it was visually or in the dialogue, it referenced basically every era of Star Wars. There was references to the prequels. There were references to Han Solo's movie. There were references to Gungans. I mean, They
Okay.
had Rio
I
Grande
texted you.
guy in the prison, and like
Yeah.
I really like that they're really being all inclusive at this
Yeah.
point.
As I texted you, Barry, I thought it was really cool that they make fun of both Gungans and stormtroopers.
Yeah.
It's because
was a
like
great
at some
line,
point
though.
somebody has to notice that how easy it is to kill a stormtrooper, and these guys, the guy's immediate angry retort was, "I wasn't a stormtrooper."
Right.
Yeah, no, that was great.
It was an Imperial sniper.
That's
And
just
then-
perfect Easter egg without being too in your face about
Right.
it.
Yeah. And just the fact that and I didn't realize it at first. I spotted Dave Filoni as an X-wing pilot. I didn't realize the other two X-wing pilots were directors of other episodes of this season.
Oh, I didn't I didn't even
I
notice
missed that
Filoni
completely.
without
Yeah.
his cowboy hat on.
Oh yeah, Filoni was the main X-wing
Yes,
pilot.
and I did
Oh,
catch
that's great.
him. I did catch him, but I had to look up to see who the others were because, they didn't look like who they would normally cast, and so that was kind of neat.
And
I
Kelsey
gotta-
Brown was somewhat recognizable,
Oh,
but
totally.
not entirely, which I thought was good. And Matt Lanter as the Rebel Guard was great.
That was cool.
Oh, it was?
You
you didn't
missed
realize that?
too.
I didn't notice any of that
So
stuff.
this is
Matt Lanter
Anakin, animated Anakin now in the
The guy from Timeless, Dave, was the guy with the helmet and the blue
I
outfit.
totally didn't get it. He was too clean cut looking, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. There were
Really?
a ton of people in this episode.
right.
I'll
And
have to
then
watch it.
I forget what her name is, but from Game of Thrones and
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yeah, who we've seen at a couple shows, I think.
Was the Twilight Girl?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say the devil looking dudes,
Deveronians, yeah.
yes, pretty badass. I mean, it's kind of hard to stop them.
Yeah.
Well, and I just love that they did the whole Rancor thing with the door falling on his head, but then he stands up.
And then he stands
that was
up
great.
and
That
hits
was
the other
great.
button. Great.
It was really well done.
But like burning, hitting him with the flamethrower thing and it having no impact.
Yeah.
And it was just.
Well, and when he saw the floating droids, rather than shoot them, his instinct was to tackle one and smash it into the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it was
yeah.
just funny stuff. It was great.
I-
And I just love those visual cues. I mean, that droid is a droid that was in the lineup outside of the Sandcrawler in episode 4.
Yes. Yep.
Well, he didn't float. He was.
He
on the
didn't
ground.
float, you're right,
Yeah,
but it was
that's
the same
that's an R1. Yeah.
basic design. So
I built an R1 for the.
Oh,
Sandcrawler
really?
scene. Yeah, for the display at the celebration that was here in LA. I forget the number. Before the first JJ Star Wars movie came out, we did the whole lineup of all the droids in front of the Sandcrawler.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. But no, it's nice that they got like character actors like Clancy Brown in there. I like seeing that kind of stuff.
yeah, me
Well, I
too.
think soon this show is because it's so hot, they're going to be able to get anyone they want.
Yeah.
Everyone will be lining up to do this show. I just hope that it starts to go somewhere.
I think with 2 episodes left, we're going to go back to that stuff
yeah,
with
it's like he's got the kid. That's great.
I know. Now we're just
Earth
in
is he
these
gonna
little
do with
vignettes.
them?
Yeah. what's
So
he
is
gonna do?
this the first season of Flash? Is this the villain of the week? We're using this arc to introduce all these characters that we're gonna that they're then going to bring in at different points.
I don't think
That
we're going to
was-
see people again. Like, I don't
don't
think anyone's
think- you
been
don't
that
think the-
significant.
No,
the,
we totally are, because they showed us a clip at Celebration that had a bunch of them fighting together, and we haven't
Yeah.
seen that yet.
This is going to be the Magnificent Seven. is what
Oh,
you guys had made that point
I thought you
before.
meant the
Yeah.
villains, because the villains have
No,
not been
no, I'm
nothing special.
saying
You mean the
no,
heroes.
I'm saying
Heroes.
where each week you introduce a character that then is going to be cycled back in later.
Oh, yeah. I get the sense that they're all on a ship. I think that Huguenot guy, totally. I thought they were. He's on his crew at some point. I think that's true.
Yeah.
Gina Carano, and I wonder if
Even Carl Weathers may end up in that group.
You think Ming is dead? I hope she's not.
I don't think she's dead.
I don't think she is either.
I think we're even going to see IG-11 again. So
No,
God damn it, we
not-
better.
No, I read an article this just 2 minutes ago. IG-11 is not showing up again. They made that very clear. Barry's a little freaked out because he bought the Hot Toys one, and if he doesn't show up again, he's not going to.
he was on screen for 11 minutes.
Barry, I'll give you $50 for that action figure right now.
Yeah, I might take you up on it. I'm about to place an order today. They announced the emaciated stormtroopers.
Well, at least you saw them.
Yeah, they've been in a few scenes.
Speaking of which, the scene that we saw at Celebration, or they talked about, We still haven't seen that yet with all
Right.
the stormtroopers.
That's right.
So
I think that's the scene that they showed us where Gino was fighting, and there was like more. So
I think
I don't
so,
think
too.
we've seen that yet.
So that's going to happen in the next 2 episodes. So
Yeah. All right. So we'll
Yeah.
talk more about that later.
So
But
they call him the Remnant Stormtrooper, not the emaciated
the
Stormtrooper.
remnants.
Remnant, yeah.
I guess so.
So I would say this is. I'm starting to lose track because this is definitely a step up from the previous episode, but it's like not in par with the first.
I did. They've done his story, sort of all separate. They got to bring it together in the next couple
Yeah.
episodes.
And I think they will with the last 2.
Yeah. Is it?
We'll
Wait,
find out tomorrow night.
that was no wait. There's only 8. That's right.
right.
So tomorrow night and then the
Tomorrow
following
night is 9. 10
And
is
then the
next Friday.
following
And-
Friday.
10 is
So what is your thinking on why we get the episode tomorrow night? Because they don't want to get it stepped on. Because I was thinking because they've got the highest first viewing numbers of any streaming show ever at this point, they don't want to. They planned not to step on their own numbers by having it come out. on
It's the second reason you're about to say. There's
Yeah,
something
it's-
in it.
it's
There's
because-
something
so.
in it.
that's
There's
what
either
I'm
something
wondering
in
too.
it, or they're using it as promotion because they did say at the end of the episode there's going to be a special preview of.
Yeah,
Rise of
but
Skywalker.
there's no
Do they
one,
need to promote at this point? And
no one in the world who has Disney Plus and is watching The Mandalorian is not going to see this movie.
Who's
I
going to watch
agree.
that on a Wednesday? No, to watch it on Wednesday. I agree, and that's what I'm saying. So it's one of those two things.
I think it definitely is partially, but there could be something in there. Which
John
would be
Favreau
fucking
was
crazy.
even tweeting today, "Hey, don't forget, episode 9 of The Mandalorian is going to be early this week."
They should have put that on the end of the show. They don't really do that kind of stuff, which would have been
No,
interesting.
they don't.
That'll be interesting. I mean, do we see Yodel in the new movie? I don't know. Anyway, we'll know soon enough. Let's take a step back in Star Wars time. Todd wants to.
If we
say
see
something
Yodel
else.
in the movie, is he like, being that it's 30 some odd years later?
Not that much older.
That's what I'm saying. Is he like surly teen Yodel now? Is he like
Who knows
Groot?
how people?
It's going to be like Groot when he was
specifically
playing the video games in his bedroom.
Yeah, it's like he's just like surly teen because they could age at whatever rate, but I think
Exactly. Who knows? It could be 0 to 50 is like 1 to 2, and from 50 to 80 is like from 2 to 30. Who the hell
Could
knows?
absolutely
You know,
work
though,
that
what's
way.
interesting is that
I would prefer that he's like 16 and pissed off though.
But that
I think
scene
would
in
be
this past episode where he was about to use the Force on that robot Zero, or try, like he's clearly aware. He knows what's going on and he's trying to help. So, I mean, maybe he just can't verbalize it yet, but he's not as infantile as a toddler would be.
Yeah. My only disappointment in this whole thing, Barry, was that wasn't 000.
The fact that they called him Zero, I was like, wait a minute.
Could he be built on? Could he be like a rebuild? Yeah. So.
Well, if they're doing Dr. Afro, we're probably going to see 000.
Yeah, it's true. And should.
All right, let's take a step back. Brian's had some pretty interesting Star Wars escapades in his life because he's from the Los Angeles area. You told us a couple. If there's a particular one you want to entertain the audience with, why don't you?
Yeah. So as we start looking, as we're eagerly anticipating the third film in this arc, you take us back a little bit to the right
to the 1982. Watching them film Revenge of the Jedi. I was living in San Diego at the time. The largest, I don't know, people don't remember back in the day, copy machines were a big deal. And there were stores that did nothing but make copies. And if you were writing a report, writing a script, everyone went to this store. So there's the biggest copy store on the West Coast was in San Diego. And a friend of ours worked there the night shift. And whenever a film company was nearby at all, they'd walk in there and run all their daily reports and all their shooting schedule for the next day. So we get a phone call and this guy says, there's this movie called Blue Harvest. They're shooting out in Yuma. But the call sheet has Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher on it. And we're like, could that be the code name for the next movie? So,
and we say Yuma, Arizona?
Yuma, Arizona. Yep.
Okay.
It was shot in Buttercup Valley, which is a very popular dirt bike and at the time trike sand racing area because it's a big dished out valley in the middle of the desert that has virtually no brush, so it looks like Tatooine. And so another friend of ours heard from his dirt bike friend that they had torn out all the bushes from Buttercup Valley. And we went, oh, that sounds interesting. So some friends of mine drove out there, and sure enough, they had cut a path, a watered path back into the valley through the hills. It's like a big S-turn. And when you come around the S-turn, there was the sand skiff, Jabba's sand skiff, full size, built in the middle of Buttercup Valley, and with a fence around it. So they would water the sand every morning so the trucks could go in. But
not the skiff, the big sail barge.
I'm sorry, the sail barge. Yes.
Yeah.
Full size sail barge. It must have been, I don't know.
I remember reading in Starlog about this.
Yeah. And when you come around the corner, it's facing away from you. So all you see is a row, floor after floor after floor of scaffolding because they only built one side. So, and they kept us on the non-filming side because they didn't want to see the people watching. But because it was public land, they said, as long as you stay behind the fence, you guys can stay and watch as much as you like, which we did. So we had friends who would go out to the sail barge every day. We had somebody out there every day for about the month they shot. Some of us were shooting pictures. Some of us were shooting 8mm film. I was there the day that Han was yelling, "You tell that piece of worm-ridden filth, he'll get no pleasure from us." He must have said that line 10 times, and all the kids they did it. So we knew Jabba. We knew Jabba was in the sail barge, and we knew that Han was on the skiff, and we saw the stuntman doing the Luke jumping off and grabbing the plank and jumping back up and reaching up in the air. And we're like, what's he doing? Because it was a stuntman. It wasn't Mark Hamill. And he was on wires for some of it and not on wires for some of the other stuff as he was jumping around. So that we were able to see most of the hero stuff with the actual actors. We were not able to see. We saw a lot of stunt work. Although we did get to see, we were the very first people to see Leia in her slave outfit as she ran across the top of the deck and turned the gun and blasted it into the into the deck. So we were the very first ones to see that.
And how far would you're behind the fence? How far was the barge from where you were, would you say?
The base of the barge was 100 yards.
Uh-huh.
And of course, and then it was another, 7,500 feet in the air above that. So you had to stand back to see the top.
Mm.
That was exciting. We saw the 3PO do the dive off the top of the barge. They did that into a pad. They tried to shoot them picking up the droids, and it just didn't work. And if you look in the movie, you can tell it was reshot in a studio.
Yeah, and it's like magnets grabbing them from the bottom of their feet.
Yeah. They were trying to do it in the desert, and it didn't work. Although the tubing around those magnets, I have some of that because I was able to scavenge a piece of that. That's a whole nother story. The best part was the actors were bored out of their minds. So Anthony Daniels especially, because 3PO had so little to do on the outside. And don't forget that everything happened inside the sail barge. That was on a soundstage. So the only thing they were shooting was the outside of the sail barge. So everything on the skiffs was shot there. So Anthony Daniels had very little to do. So he would come out on one of those little trikes and just chat us up.
Oh, that's awesome.
And talk about how bored he was. And how he said you would get the morning newspaper, and this wasn't something you could just read. You had to savor it. You had to read a page and go do something else, and come back and read a page and go do something else. Because there's no internet, there's no devices or anything like that. So all they had to do was either bring a book or sit and watch them, shoot Han yelling at Jabba 10 times. But we had a great time. We loved every minute of it, and we were trying to put together the movie at the same time. So we met at the fence. Out walks Howard Kazanjian. And we didn't know. He said, "I work for Lucasfilm." Well, he was the producer of the movie. We didn't realize at the time that we were talking to the producer of the movie. He's like, "Why are you guys here? We're shooting Blue Harvest." And it's like, well, if Blue Harvest has Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill in it, and we're going to kind of watch what you're doing. So he laughed at that. And Sid Ganis, who was the head of publicity for Lucasfilm at the time, spent a lot of time talking to us at the fence as well. He went on to run Paramount. He was the president of Paramount Pictures after that. So they just wanted to talk to fans and to get their reading on the fans and find out what we thought about it, and what we thought of the movies, and what they thought we did right and wrong on Empire. I know I piped right up and said, for God's sakes, use brand new R2 noises for Jedi, because we all noticed in Empire Strikes Back it was the same noises from Star Wars. They didn't do any new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And they did all new ones. Whether he took my advice or they knew that already, I don't know. But they were all new.
So Brian, at this point, how old were you? Like, what age were you when you were?
21. I was 21.
Okay.
So old enough to drive out there and get a ticket speeding on the way out and a ticket speeding on the way back. But luckily for me, they were in two different states, Arizona and California, so they didn't know about each other. So I was able to get traffic school for both.
Yeah.
At that time, the states did not speak to each other about traffics. So the best part is, at the end of the day, Mark Hamill would always come to the fence and talk to the fans. That was
how many people were at the fence, would you say, on any given day?
At the most 8.
Whoa,
Usually
really?
4 or 6 of us who made it. Because not that many people knew. They kept it quiet, and back then, no internet.
Yeah.
The Starlog wasn't going to come out about it for 3 more months.
Yeah.
My wife, who's from the East Coast, like you guys, read about it in Starlog and was so jealous. And then when she met me, she couldn't believe I was one of the people that was on that crew.
That's great.
Was that? I have all my Starlogs, and I definitely remember reading that story. And I remember this part of the story was written by a guy who was a stand-in for somebody, and it was the scene where Han's blind and trying to shoot the Sarlacc thing. So it was definitely out there.
It was being hung by his feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I got to go dig that up.
All right, so you were saying Mark Hamill came out.
Mark Hamill comes to the fence, and he's talking to us about, and he's signing on it. Whatever we hand him, he would sign. My friend had his girlfriend had made the yellow jacket from the metal scene at the end of Star Wars. Very nice. She did a very nice job on it. He hands it to him, and Mark's looking for the tag for his name. I'm like, no, it's not from the movie. We made it. He's like, he couldn't believe we made it. He signed the inside of it. I own that now. He outgrew it, and I bought it from him a few years ago. So I've got that.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to running it. I've got, at the next celebration, I've got to take it and go to Mark Hamill's autograph table, and I've got a picture of him signing it and get a picture of him signing it again.
Oh, that's really cool.
Because the marker is starting to fade after all this time, so I'm going to have him sign it again. So he and he's always up. He was always happy, no matter what happened that day or how hot or how sandy it was. And he's telling us, we said, well, how do you like Yuma? Because they were staying in Yuma, not in San Diego, because it was closer. And being up, he says, well, what's great about this hotel is it has channel, I don't know, it was 41 or 27 or one of those UHF channels. And he says, when they break here, we get back just in time to see Gunsmoke. And I love Gunsmoke. So I get to go home every day and watch Gunsmoke at this hotel, because again, this is pre-VHS. This is before, you couldn't get anything you want whenever you want. Whatever happened to be on the UHF channels, what you got to watch. So he says the last Friday night, he knows Harrison Ford's not doing anything either. He says, Harrison's kind of this private guy, but if he goes, hey, it's Friday night, I'll ask Harrison if he wants to go to dinner. So he says, Harrison, after the shoot, you want to go to dinner? And he's hemming and he's hawing. He's like, okay, here we go. Harrison's being, Harrison. And he does a great Harrison Ford impression, which I can't do. And he goes, I do, but Gunsmoke's on.
Oh, that's funny.
That's great.
That is good. So how far was that a drive for you?
Oh, it was a good 2.5, 3 hours each way.
Really? Wow. Okay, so it's out there.
It's
How
out there.
many trips out there do you think you made in total?
I think I made 3 or 4 trips total.
That's awesome.
And it was difficult because they didn't shoot on the weekends. So you had to take off work to drive out there and then spend the whole day driving out. And you couldn't. I had a little tiny sports car, so I couldn't drive all the way back in. We'd have to meet at the restroom, the off-road restroom there, the rest area, and we'd all go over in a van that could make it over, or we walk, because you could walk it as well to walk back there.
That's pretty wild.
That's pretty amazing. That's like
right.
Awesome.
Blue Harvest, but and we knew about the filming, but for you to have been there during that, that's just amazing.
And everyone had Blue Harvest T-shirts and Blue Harvest hats. And we took pictures of all that stuff and made our own Blue Harvest T-shirts and our own Blue Harvest hats.
That's great.
And started building this relationship with Howard Kazanjian, who then started touring all of the science fiction conventions, all the big science fiction conventions promoting the movie, because this is back when the producers would go and produce the movie, not the stars.
Yeah.
So we got him and Sid quite a bit, and Maureen Garrett. So we started building up this friendship with these guys because they recognized us. We wore Blue Harvest T-shirts. So they got us all tickets to the premiere in Hollywood.
Really?
Or Return of the
fantastic.
Jedi. Yeah. And we also made Revenge of the Jedi jackets, which they thought was hilarious.
Right. Yep.
Because we had the crew jacket all said Revenge of the Jedi. We had Revenge of the, and then, of course, then they changed the name.
Yeah.
And I finally, years later, at one of the celebrations, I ran into Howard Kazanjian again and asked him, why Blue Harvest? Who came up with Blue Harvest? He says, I did. So, well, what is he? He says, I was a big fan of Purple Haze. And I thought I couldn't call the movie Purple Haze. So I thought Blue Harvest was close. So I called it Blue Harvest instead of Purple Haze. And that's where Blue Harvest came from.
No, that's interesting.
Okay.
So what was it like at the premiere? I mean, I know premieres now are these big, overblown, like the thing last night in LA for the Rise of Skywalker was this huge event. But was it like that back then, or was it more subdued? Or
it was much more subdued. It was full of fans. It was full of yelling, screaming fans.
Yeah.
At this thing. And then it followed on. I mean, they got us tickets to. I saw Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom on the lot at Paramount. In the theater, the audio was mixed in. That was the press preview was on the lot. That was really good. So that movie blew me away. And then later I went, it wasn't that great, but blew me away in the theater when I saw it there. It was really. So that was that's the advantage of living on the West Coast. And I have the exact same story for a Star Trek movie as well. Same thing. The guy said, "Hey, they're shooting Star Trek up in L.A. You guys should go up." And we went up and walked down the set of the Star Trek, the one with the whales. I forget which number it is.
Oh, 4.
4, Star Trek 4. And we, from seeing, it was all the scenes in the park with the invisible shoot. We saw them shoot all of that. And from those scenes, we were able to figure out the entire plot of the movie.
Really?
Because the lady's pickup truck had "Save the Whales" on it.
Oh, okay.
A bumper sticker said "Save the Whales," and when they're talking about clear, Scotty's saying, "Oh, we've got them," and they're lowering these big boxes out of the helicopter, and she's yelling, "Admiral Kirk, they're gone." I was like, "This is whales. They're saving whales."
Oh, that's so funny.
Awesome.
But I digress.
And you scratch your head saying, "There's no way we could possibly be right."
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. That's awesome. That's sort of, that's it. I'm going to, we'll sit with tell a memory, but because that definitely ties into sort of my memory, having read those stories in Starlog. I remember going to see Empire Strikes Back. I feel like it's the first movie that, except for Star Trek the Motion Picture, which was a little different, but the first movie that there was years of build-up of anticipation. Back then, a movie would just come out and you're like, oh my God, this is a great movie. Whether it was Rocky or even the first Star Wars, or it's just they'd show up. You haven't been reading about them. I remember reading Starlog every single month, all the theories, all the anticipation of what's going on. And then, my dad took me and my brother to the Seaview Theaters in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And like everyone online is like, that was, talking about it. And what do you think? And what's going to happen? Like, that was the first movie that was this sort of total fan experience, the way, I think we've built our lives from now. And that's why that seeing that in that theater in, 1980 totally sticks out. And reading the kind of stories like you're just describing.
I'm just a little older than you, so when The Empire Strikes Back came out, we decided we were going to stand in line for 24 hours. So I drove up to the theater noon the day before and got in line. And the owners of the theater looked at me like, "What are you doing here? Buy a ticket, go in." "No, I'm here for tomorrow's movie." "You what?" "I'm here. We're going to wait in line all night." He's like, "You're crazy." And
I don't think that thing happened back then. Right?
No, it didn't. It happened in a big way up in Hollywood Boulevard at the not the Egyptian. It was at the
Brahmins.
The Chinese.
Yeah. Yep.
But we did it in San Diego as well, and the lines got longer and longer and longer. And the news reporters came out and reported on it, and the line got really long.
Oh wow.
And and everyone is and they had a press preview the night before, so we're standing in line for the next day, and the people are coming out from the press preview, and we're like, don't tell us anything. Well, is Darth Vader really Luke's father? Because some people had heard it.
Well,
Oh,
but to
geez.
be fair,
Yeah, people had heard it.
the novelization and the comic book and the storybooks were out a month before the movie.
Right,
So
yeah.
Right.
it was, if you wanted to know, you could know.
Yeah, I don't think the word spoiler was even
Yeah, it wasn't
coined
even-
yet at that
But,
point.
yeah,
I remember seeing news, like local news, talking about the lines in California, and then people being in line. It was 24 hours before, and I went and I talked to my friend Brian, who Barry you met, Brian, into going to our local sleepy theater here in New England 3 hours early, and we got the first 2 tickets when they opened the window, and we stood by ourselves for about 2.5 hours. Nobody. I mean, it was just then of course it was a packed theater ultimately, but nobody thought to go early, more than half an hour early, except us.
Yeah.
And,
Well, being the youngest one here, I don't really have stories like that for the first 2 movies, but Return of the Jedi was the first movie probably the only movie that, my parents knew, like, I was taking that day off school. Like, there was no way I was going to actually go to school. Like, took the day off, went to the theater, waited. The line was literally around the theater. But we waited and we got in and saw it.
So I had just thought of this. Where we parked, Brian had a VW Beetle, okay? And where we parked, you could only put money in the meters for up to 3 hours at a time.
Oh gosh.
He was so pissed. He had to, by the time it was time to go into the movie, he had to go back and put money back in the meter. And we basically waited there for nothing. But,
We went to the theater near our house for Attack of the Clones, episode 1. And this 24 hours.
That was
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace, sorry. For Phantom Menace. We went to see if anyone was in line 24 hours ahead of time, just to see if anybody was doing it. And sure enough, there were people in line.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
there were
sure. That
people
was
that
the thing by
waited
then.
days.
About 10 or 12 guys in line, all youngish, and they were making a documentary about themselves, standing in line for 24 hours. And so my wife went to get tickets for the next day, and they were sold out for the first show. And these guys are like, well, she started talking about, we did this back in the original time, and they said, can we interview you? And one of the questions they asked is, what was it like not knowing Darth Vader was Luke's father? Not knowing that Han and Leia were going to get together, not Han and Luke. Because everyone who isn't over 50 saw those movies one right after the other on television. Boom, boom, boom. There was no waiting. There was no longing for what's going to happen next. They did, and after that movie, we're in the theater and that movie ends, and a little kid turns to his dad and goes, "Well, what happens next?" His dad goes, "You have to wait." What do you mean I have to wait? It's 2 years till the next movie comes out. I have to wait 2 years?
Yeah.
Tough, kid, isn't it? You wait 20.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and it was, I think wasn't it 3 years between those movies? I think
It was
it might
3,
have been 3
Back
years.
then it was 3. Back then it
Yeah.
was 3 between each one, yeah.
But I think even the prequels were 3 years in between.
Were they?
Were
With
they
prequels
three?
were 99,
99. Yeah, 'cause
and the
it
last one was
99,
2005. So
2001 and
2002 and
2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were 3
geez.
years apart. Okay.
3 years apart.
It seems like a lifetime ago. I remember seeing the preview for episode 3 at was it the first celebration we went to?
It was the first celebration. It was Celebration 3.
That we went
And
to.
they
Yeah.
had that, what was his name? The producer that worked with Rick McCallum.
Yeah.
It was the Rick McCallum Spectacular. And you would go in and they would show you it was the opening sequence, the Obi-Wan and Anakin flying in the ships and going all around. It was that bit and a few other clips they showed us. But we saw that in May. No, we saw it in
April,
and the movie came out in May. But yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it's funny. I remember the business park that I worked in back when Phantom Menace came out had the best movie theater on Long Island in that business park, and there were people lining up just when the tickets were going on sale just to get the tickets in advance. And then I think that was the first movie they ever put tickets on in advance of the movie coming out. Like you could actually buy tickets like a month before the movie. And my friend's sister's boss paid her to go wait in line
my goodness.
to get him tickets because it was a thing at that point. You couldn't buy them online, so
Yeah, I remember I saw all the prequels at the Ziegfeld in Manhattan, and I think even like the week before they were selling the tickets. I remember going to the theater and getting the tickets. Yeah, that's a shame. That theater's gone now, and I've seen every Star Wars movie there.
I had only seen one of the special editions when they came out. I got tickets to see it at the Ziegfeld.
Yeah, I saw all the special editions there.
The movie I saw, the theaters I saw, Star Wars, Empire, and Logan's Run are all gone. All three of the big theaters are gone now. Now that you mention it. Then we saw Jedi in L.A., so that doesn't count.
Theater that I saw Star Wars in is now it's a car dealership.
Yeah.
Those guys built a car dealership there.
Yeah.
The place I saw Star Wars was like the single big theater. It's gone now. And then it was, the seats were in a curve because it was such a big screen. And then when the idea of multiplexes came, they literally just put a wall down the middle and two screens, and you'd sit there and you're facing the corner of the room. And you have to turn your bike.
Straighten out the seats.
They didn't move the seats. You're literally looking the wrong way. You're looking towards the middle of the room. It was ridiculous.
We have a theater in town that was this ginormous old theater that they made into 4 theaters, and by bisecting the first floor and made it into 2 kind of normal shaped theaters. But then for the smaller movies, you go up to the balcony and you get there's 2 small theaters, and they went out from the railing of the balcony probably another like 25 feet, then put a wall and put the screens up and put a dividing wall in between. But you can go up to the rail that was the balcony, and that's still there. And so it's just the space is all divided up. But
So Brian, I don't know if you want to go into this or not, but you told us some stories about going back after filming.
Okay, I can tell that story. Sure. There were some people. There was a convention in Arizona and in Phoenix, and the road from Phoenix to San Diego goes right past Buttercup Valley. That's I-8. That's the same corridor, and this is a month after they filmed. Drove up, walked in at night just to see what was still left. And the fence was up and everything was torn down, and there were 2 piles. There was a pile of good lumber where they'd taken all the scaffolding down and 2x4s and 4x4s and all the good stuff. There's a pile of good lumber, and there's a pile of crap, which is full of sarlacc and torn up panels and a whole bunch
and Boba Fett's crumpled bitch body.
I have to digress just for a second and go, wouldn't it be tragic / amazing if Mandalorian turned out to be Boba Fett? Why couldn't it be? They call him Mando. That's not really his name. He's a Mandalorian.
Yeah. I hope it's not. God.
But he's got flashbacks as a kid.
We do know Boba Fett's history, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do. Okay, good. All right. So it can't be. Anyway, back to the story. So in the pile of trash were many components from the outside of Jabba's sail barge. And there was a little guard shack with a light on and music playing. And the folks that were there yelled, "Hey, hello, we're only here to look. We're not going to hurt anybody. Don't come out and shoot us." No reaction. No change in sound. The guy was clearly asleep in the guard shack in the middle of the desert, right? Because who's gonna walk up? So jumped the fence, and in that pile were all of the. If you look at the sail barge, all the windows on the side all have shutters, and they're large panels all the way around the side of the sail barge. Picked up some of those panels, chucked them over the fence, and then like a line of ants walked all the panels back out of the desert into the car and drove them back to San Diego. And I have one of those panels in my attic. It's going to be a coffee table because it's big. It's the size of a coffee table.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I love that story.
And the thing is, the value of that pile of trash now.
Oh my God!
People
crazy.
Go out there if you know where to look. And also when they took out the fence, they didn't they couldn't dig holes in the sand and put in concrete, right? So they did it like maybe you've seen them do. They take like a 20-foot long pole with a hydraulic and press it in so 6 feet are up. So they just cut them off when they were done. So if you go out there with a metal detector, you can find the fence perimeter, which tells you where to dig. And if you dig, you'll find Sarlacc pieces. I promise you. There's so much foam rubber because they buried a lot of that crap. We
Well,
don't
and a
know.
lot of that stuff has come out. I mean, there are people that have pieces of Sarlacc. There are people that have pieces of
The
the
sail?
actual sails from the sail
Yeah.
barge, the red
Yeah.
sail material.
We guessed that some of that stuff in that pile of crap we were running through may have just been buried out there.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it was easier than hauling it all out, right?
that's for sure.
Oh yeah. That's crazy. That's
Insane.
awesome.
Wow.
I would love to see a picture of that thing at some point when and next time
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
taking it out of your attic. I would love to see it.
Okay, I'll do that. I actually the RPF just bought 4 sink knobs, really nicely machined aluminum sink knobs to go on the end of a lightsaber for the table legs. I'm going to make 4 lightsaber table legs for it. So
Oh, that's cool.
it's coming out and going to be a coffee table in the living room very soon.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Can't wait to see that.
Awesome. All right. So Todd suggested we rate the movie before we see it.
And
So
then compare our ratings after,
Yeah.
see how close we
Yeah.
came.
So and then we're trying to figure out the scale. So
It's got to be a scale of lightsabers, right?
No,
One lightsaber, 2
well,
lightsabers.
no, we need a comparison. Do we say this movie is a 10 and this movie is a 0, and where does it fit amongst that? You know, we've done various
Okay, we
scales.
could do that. So you could say on the
On the Last Jedi to
A New Hope
original Star Wars
is a 10. Last Jedi is a 0. What is it in between?
On a scale of 10, okay.
if we want to do that.
I don't dislike
Okay.
The Last Jedi as much as you guys do. The trilogy stands, down in the 1, 2, 3s, right?
So
Pretty
let's
much
put
by
it
their
this
number.
way. Let's say from the worst to the best. Okay, and where it will fit, the worst being 1, the best being 10. And then you can have your own scale.
You can
Okay.
also say,
Well, there are
my 10 is this. I feel like it's like my 10 is
Okay,
Empire
that's
Strikes
fair
Back.
enough. Yeah.
Hang on
feel
one
like
sec.
it's
I
gonna
think it
be-
has to be a scale of 1 to 11 because this film becomes the 11th film in the series.
Oh, I see.
Some
Brian,
people
there are
don't count.
literally hours of recordings of us trying to establish scales on which metrics by which to measure
What's
things.
sad is that there's even more hours not recorded of it.
It's
so
really
funny.
sad. It's really
guys,
sad.
Is folks out there off air, Dave goes, wait, let's talk about this on the air.
Yeah, because it's great. Because this is just so stupid.
Because this is what we need
People
to
love
do.
this.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
You make your own scale. Go ahead, Todd.
Right.
You go. You make
Okay.
your own scale.
Okay, I am going to very, very optimistically. Okay, I'm going to say it's going to be a 9.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's and your scale is Star Wars.
Help me out here. Yeah, where do you put Star Wars Empire and Rogue One in that pantheon?
Rogue One's the 8.5, and I put Star Wars at a 10.
Okay.
So, and Empire's probably parallel with that, but I have different reasons for.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good context.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
Who wants to go next? Barry?
Sure, I'll go next.
They're all 10s. Okay, moving on.
Yes, it's easy.
Crystal Skull.
They're not all, listen, they're not all 10s. I admit that. And I watched Last Jedi last night, and I stand by all of the flaws I've said I think it has, and I'm with Brian. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's Star Wars is like pizza. We say it all the time. Even
No,
the
it's
worst
not.
Star Wars is still pretty freaking good.
No.
But all
Okay,
right.
so-
but if you drop the pizza in the street, your dog pisses on it. Okay.
And then Ryan Johnson
It
comes
is
and throws up
technically
on
still
it.
pizza.
pizza, but it's not.
Okay.
It is still
technically
pizza.
Okay.
Pizza, but it's. Okay,
All right.
go on.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The scene where they kill Smoked, and
Snoke.
they fight all of his guards
Yeah.
between the two of them is the little dry piece of crust of that pizza that the dog missed. So that
Yes,
is a
I
killer,
will look at that.
killer scene.
There's little bits. You could edit that down to
10 minutes.
about 6.5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you remove all the Luke Skywalker stuff and pretend that
Not even
that they
that.
didn't
There's-
shit on that
there's
character, it's not so
Are we
bad.
gonna do this? Is this what we're doing? And I'm not the one who started it.
Interaction between Luke and Rey, which is salvageable. Okay, it's just
There is no way. There isn't any salvageable. That the casino planet's not
no.
salvageable.
I'm saying there's some of that stuff that's salvageable. It just doesn't go anywhere and doesn't serve any purpose, and it's then pointless.
Okay.
They even
But-
referenced that casino planet in this week's Mandalorian.
Oh, good God!
Did you catch that?
I
Hey,
know.
let's save the horse things and leave the kids behind.
The Faviers, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Barry,
All right. So,
anytime.
yeah. So I'm. My scale is an 11 being A New Hope, Star Wars, whatever we want to call it, the original best and
Star Wars. It's called Star Wars.
my favorite movie of all time, and the worst being The Last Jedi, which is probably my least favorite of all the Star Wars movies. I'm going to say this is going to be an 8.
Ooh.
And I will be happy with an 8. This doesn't
Wow.
have to be a 10 for me. It just has to be
Wait.
an 8.
Star Wars is an 11, and this is an 8.
Where do you put Rogue One?
I freaking love Rogue One. Rogue
I
One
know
is-
that's what I'm saying.
It's fine. It's a
10.
fine movie.
Uh,
What's
Okay,
that?
you'd be
Listen-
okay with 2 points less than that.
I'm saying
Three.
it doesn't have to be my favorite movie of the series. It
It
just
just
needs to
can't.
be.
It just can't. They can't screw the pooch.
What else
Yeah,
is an 8? What else is an 8?
Don't say Solo. Don't say.
Phantom Menace is an 8.
Oh my God! You're joking. I hope.
Okay, I took out the 77 okay, because I thought
Can you pour me a drink through the?
I
through
am
the
going to pour you a drink
microphone?
through that.
I
My
did
God,
that for Dave's benefit. That wasn't my real answer.
I only
happen to
saved
like-
this for Star Wars related toasts.
Part.
No,
Okay.
I like the Phantom Menace. It's not the Phantom Menace isn't an 8. What
I'd
else
say
is an
I
8?
like it the most of. Jesus Christ!
Wow.
That is a,
It's a hefty drink. That was a slug.
The Force Awakens is an 8. It's got. I want it to live up to The Force Awakens.
okay,
Okay.
Brian. Now that we've pulled you into our insanity,
I
go ahead.
gotta. I think Rogue One is the second best Star Wars movie.
Okay.
So if Star Wars is if the original Star Wars is, and for a long time I thought Empire was the best movie, and I don't think that anymore. My new rating scale is how many times have you seen it? And if it's such a great movie, why haven't you seen it 25
Really?
times or 30
That's
times?
interesting.
Yeah. So people say Empire is the best movie. Oh, really? How many times have you seen Empire? How many times have you seen Star Wars?
I've
Okay, I
seen
think
Empire
maybe-
more than Star Wars.
Have you?
And,
Okay, there you go.
and
How
I
many times have
can't
you seen
see
Last
more.
Jedi, Dave?
One.
So
That
Brian,
will be one.
my thing has always been, and this is how I reconcile this, like maybe 20 years ago. Star Wars is a better film. Empire is a better movie. So
I don't know what that means.
one
That's something
exists on its
Scorsese
own.
would say.
One exists is greatness in its existence on its own. One depends on the other. Is more entertaining in a lot of ways, but it depends on the other. It can't exist on its own.
Is Star Wars cinema,
but
Todd?
I was just gonna say that Star Wars
What's that?
cinema. Is
I
it
said, is
cinema?
Star Wars cinema?
That's right. And it's cinema. It is cinema. It is
But
cinema.
I agree with you. Say I do love Star Wars. There's no, it's changed my life. I can't, but I could sit down and watch Empire every day for the next 10, 15 days. I don't think I can get through Star Wars as easily. Not that I don't respect and love it, but it's just got more to it. But anyway,
half a movie.
Here's how I think it's going to go. I think Star Wars is an 11 and Rogue One is a 10. Empire's a 9. I think I'm going to walk out of the theater going, this is a 10. And a month from now, I'll go, okay, 9.
Wow. Okay.
I get that, though, because I walked out of Last Jedi liking it a lot more than I did once I really sat back and thought about it.
Yeah, it made it from a 7 to a 6 for me.
Yeah.
As I walked away.
A 7. That was anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Again, it was anticipation. So
It went from a 7 to a 4. So let's say Empire's a 10. I'll call Star Wars a 9.9. I think the most important context is Force Awakens, which I happen to like a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna put
Despite being a remake of Star Wars. But anyways, yeah.
whatever. I'm just the character development. Do we want to get into that again? I mean, there's more going on in those characters than any of the first three prequels, except for
It's
Obi-Wan.
good because they didn't really have to worry about writing a plot. So
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
they're all
Anyway.
They're all Hidden Fortress. If you want to go there, right?
Well, they're all the Seventh Samurai. They're all
Yeah.
the
Yes.
Kurosawa. Anyway, so let's call those a 10, and let's call Force Awakens. I'm gonna call it a 9 just for the sake of it. I'm gonna put this at 9.5. JJ's gonna do it. JJ's gonna pull it off.
I think so too.
You guys have set yourself up for potential disappointment, and I have set myself up for less disappointment.
You're settling.
Just because you said a number, you're gonna if it's bad, you're gonna be disappointed no matter what.
There's
No, I don't
being hyped for this movie. Come on,
I
there's
don't
no
think
way
it's
you're
going to
go
be
to
bad. I don't know if it's possible for it to be on the level of a Star Wars, an Empire, or a Rogue One. I just don't think it's possible.
I think I liked what he did with The Force Awakens, and that he did in a little bit of a vacuum because not what I'm saying, they didn't know what they had to accomplish with that. But I think in terms of characters and he's got so much to do, and the world's going to end unless somebody makes the right Star Wars movie. Who are you going to ask to do that? I say the only person you ask to do is JJ, and I think he's going to pull it off.
From your mouth to God's ears.
I will
Yoda's
say
giant ears.
Yes.
I will say I
Ready to
think he
be
can do
Yoda.
this. I have been thinking since Force Awakens what a JJ Star Wars film would be like with all the controls off, because I think he was tasked with making an extremely safe movie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he did that.
That's what I'm saying. And now
And he delivered. And I think this is just don't do what Ryan Johnson did. And I think that was his edict this time. And so if this is the polar opposite of that, that's automatically like a 7.5. So
Well, but what he's been saying in interviews before I went on complete lockdown was,
I've never listened to an interview.
but he said that he thought what Ryan Johnson did actually freed him to go and make even crazier and bolder choices than he would have made had that not happened.
yeah, basically in the first scene, Luke steps out of the shower and and
It was all a
yeah.
dream.
And Bob Newhart's there in bed, and he
with
says,
Emily.
"I had the
And there's
weirdest
a snow
dream."
globe somehow
and then
involved.
it's just like the retcon of retcon.
He's got a freaking task on this guy's hands.
My other thing, and I gave this theory at work. I think they're gonna start with going back to Finn in the back to tank, and he just dreamed that whole movie. It's like
Anything
whoa!
like that is fine by me.
It was like,
It's
Jesus,
interesting.
what the
I
shit?
feel like the pressure-
What's in this tank? What's
The
in this
pressure is
tank? You would
awful
not
little
believe what I
because-
just dreamed.
Because people are loving Mandalorian. If Mandalorian was like lukewarm,
Yeah.
unintended, the stakes would be even higher.
Yeah.
I think it's taken a little of the edge off on the stakes of this movie.
I think the reverse. I don't think they want people coming out of this movie saying, "Wow, that TV show on Disney is better than what I just saw."
That's a good point too.
So
JJ's
I think
never
I think they would have been safer to release The Mandalorian after this. So they know they got something good.
I don't think they. Do you think anyone thought Last Jedi sucked? when they
Kathleen
put it
Kennedy
out?
thought she had something good.
Kathleen Kennedy's
that?
the problem.
Oh, I know that, but I'm just saying, in all the interviews and all the press, she thought that they had the greatest movie. It was, that he was the easiest to work with. She loved the story.
You think they took?
They have a
notes-
hard time determining when they've got something good.
You think they asked for notes from Feige on this? I bet they did.
But you know what it was? That was like the George Lucas silo thing all over again. Like they were talking to each other and nobody else, and they're like, "It's gonna be so wonderful." And it's like this is like nothing anyone's ever seen before. And you know what? 2/3 of the audience wanted to see what they'd seen before. Okay, they wanted to see what they expected.
But they did a very smart thing, and you're not going to agree with me on this, but they brought George in apparently on this to get a sniff test from him. So
Does that help?
Because he did so fucking good with the prequels.
Well, you know what?
It was nothing but gold there. Nothing but gold there, baby.
Were gold compared to The Last Jedi.
Where's my JJ statue? I have to rub it.
It's like
JJ is to directing what Tom Cruise is to acting. Everything is great.
Oh God!
Let's go now into the Maverick trailer. Did everyone see it? It was awesome.
I did not see it. I'm on lockdown.
Lockdown for a movie coming out in June of next year?
I can't take a chance of going on YouTube. Okay, it's
yeah.
I like that he's with a woman his own age. That's interesting, or close to his own age.
Oh, I love her so much.
Oh my God, so do I. Jennifer Connelly. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
I think we've argued enough. I think we've bonded enough.
Brian stuck with us, so we got to give him credit for that.
If you never want to answer our texts or calls again, we totally understand.
I've got to go watch The Last Jedi, so we got to wrap this up.
Oh, sorry.
Well, thanks again for being with us, Brian.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you for
it's always fun.
Star Wars stories on and off the air. We totally appreciate that. And I'm not asking for last thoughts because I don't care.
Yeah, let's do get together and talk about For All Mankind at some point.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen anything since the pilot, but you guys can. I'll participate.
We're not doing it in the next 2 weeks, so
I'm not going to watch 10 hours of that in the next 2 weeks.
At some point, we should do space TV shows and talk like real, not science fiction TV
you mean
shows.
Like I Dream of Jeannie?
I Dream exactly, Dave. I Dream of No, but I'm saying there's been a number of them over the years, and so I can probably even provide some samples. So
we include Quark in that.
We can include Quark in that. So it's completely factual.
Love that show.
Okay. As you listen to this, you have all the answers to what the real deal is with Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, what's interesting is that most people listening to this will have already seen the movie and are going to be going, "These guys are a bunch of idiots."
Well, they're 100% right, or I don't know what. Or
we've never denied that.
Yes, it's a 3. What were they talking about? Okay.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.